months ago, I bought a Cardoon plant from a plant sale, and it is related to artichoke. However, with Cardoon, while it looks just like an artichoke plant, it doesn't produce edible heads each year. Cardoon does flower typically in its second year if you let it, and they are technically edible, but they aren't going to be as good as an actual artichoke. Instead, Cardoon is harvested for the leaf stalks, and some people will even harvest the roots. It's really common in Mediterranean dishes, and I asked a friend of mine who is Italian, who has more experience with Cardoon plants, if mine was ready to harvest or not, and she said it was. In fact, it was a little too ready. I should have picked the leaf stalks when they were small and tender, but I've let mine get way too big. So the stalks are more fibrous, and it's going to take a little more effort to process it for eating. I also want this plant to keep producing, so I need to start harvesting because if I don't, it's not going to push out new growth, or it won't push out new growth as quickly. There were some earwigs inside, so that was kind of gross, but here is the first stalk, and it's pretty huge. I'd say it's at least 2 feet. I'm going to go back for more because I might as well harvest enough to cook up at once. I'm going to go ahead and harvest this stalk right here because it's kind of drooping on the ground there. That's another big stalk. And I do want to make a note that these leaves are very spiky. I've just pricked my thumb and it really smarts. So now I'm going to get another stalk right here. That one's pretty thick. And I think I'm going to go ahead and get one more stalk, might as well. So here's my harvest, and now it's time to process. I did read that the leaves are edible, but Cardoon is mainly harvested for the stalks, and I also read that the leaves might be harder to process, so I'm just going to remove them. I am doing this outside because I know artichokes often attract aphids and whiteflies, and since Cardoon is related to artichoke, I don't want to risk bringing this all inside and having insects invade my home and my indoor plants, even though I don't see anything on these, but you never know. I will compost these leaves, but right now I'm just chucking them on the ground. Looking pretty good. I am going to go ahead and get the leaves off all of the other stalks that I harvested, but that's going to be boring, so I'm not going to show you all of it. So here we are. All of the stems have their leaves removed, and now I am just going to go ahead and cut these into some smaller pieces just to make them a little bit more manageable, and I'm going to have to cut them up into smaller pieces anyways later. All right, so now that they're all cut up, I'm going to go ahead and put them in this bowl of water that I've brought out just in case there's any insects still lingering on them. I didn't see any, but I just really do not want to bring any insects inside my house. So I'm just going to kind of submerge the stalks in the water a little bit, kind of mix it around, and then I'll go ahead and bring these inside to finish processing them. I also added some vinegar to the bowl because I definitely noticed some insect poop on the insides of the stalks, and so I just really wanted to kind of loosen that up and clean it off a bit. And I'm using this veggie peeler to try and remove all of the stringy, fibrous parts off, but it is kind of tough. It is very, very stringy. This is just a few peels in, and it's already so much. I am not going to show myself peeling all of these stalks, but yeah, it's already quite labor intensive. After peeling them, I let them soak a little bit more and kind of dried them off, and then here is all of what I peeled off. So it was a lot. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut these into smaller pieces, and it really looks like celery. Obviously, it doesn't taste like celery, but if you're looking for texture, I suppose you could use this as a celery substitute. And Cardoon should be blanched before cooking, so I'm going to do that. I found a recipe online to soak the Cardoon in a bowl of water and lemon juice while the water on the stove to blanch is boiling, so that's what I'm doing here. Apparently, blanching it and adding the lemon will help reduce any bitterness that can be in these stalks. I've got my bowl of ice water for them for when they come out of the pot, and I'm going to wait for them to completely cool and for the ice to melt. And now I am going to fry them in a little bit of olive oil and salt, and the recipe I found said to squeeze some more lemon in there, so I did just that. And I cooked them until they were just a little bit brown, so it took about 5 minutes, so it didn't take too long. And flavor-wise, it does taste like an artichoke, but it was a lot of work, but I am glad that I got to try it. And from now on, I am going to pick them when they are much smaller, like the ones in the middle here, so that I don't have to do so much of that prep work beforehand.